If you're looking to pack on muscle fast, I got a treat for you with this video. Recently, I stepped on a scale and I recognized that I was 3 kilograms heavier. That's about 6 pounds. I believe there's a lot of muscle attached to it, but also, of course, some fat because I was totally in my summer shred mode. And while I still believe that I look pretty solid, I'm happy with my form, I see that I've also gained some fat. And the best part, I think you can do this too. Mind you, I have a lot of experience with training. I was incredibly shredded. I was very bulked up. And now I feel like my body kind of eased into autopilot mode. Now maybe you've been stuck on a plateau and maybe you need some tips and some insights. And this is what this video is for. And if you're over 40 and you want to become strong, fit, and lean without going to the gym twice as fast, then download my free ebook in the first link in the description. Grüezi miteinander, Gregory von Lebe Stark here. I believe there's 5 steps that have led to this journey that I'm now on, where I've packed on some muscle. And before I want to jump into these 5 steps, one thing definitely happened. You see, when I started kettlebell training, I wanted to master these lifts, especially the ballistics from the inside out. And this has led me to doing lots of ballistics with lighter and semi-heavy weights. I've built up a serious engine, some good strength endurance, and this is now helping me fuel my quest during these workouts because I have a bigger engine that allows me to put in more work and put in more reps. My body has now become like a sponge. And since I've adapted my diet just a little bit and some of the exercises that I do, I think my body rebounded fairly well and packed on some muscle. Mind you, like I mentioned in the beginning, I've been lifting for a long time. This is my 15th consecutive year. I was very heavy, I was very light, and my body just naturally gravitated towards what my body already knows. So now let's jump into step number 1, and that is easy and high quality food sources. Now, I'm not going to show any type of magic in this video where you think, wow, I have never heard about this before. This is well-known information. And if it's new to you, this is awesome. You're probably just getting started. But for many of us, and especially regular watchers of this channel, they know that good quality foods and high quality protein sources are necessary to build high quality muscle. But the one thing that I believe really changed my perspective and the way I was able to gain muscle is, first of all, I have an awesome woman by my side. Angie cooks deliciously and she always makes sure that I have lots of protein. But one thing that changed Angie's and my diet was Lebe. Lebe is a German brand that has pre-cooked meals in glasses with an awesome nutrient intake. Great proteins, great carbs, great fats, and a big amount of fibers, while one glass sits at around 600 calories. I'm not sponsored by these guys. I just think their product is awesome and we always order in bulk. And I think this is one of the major shifts that I've experienced, at least in the last year, that has led to these drastic changes. Step number 2, bodyweight exercises with high volume. Now let's talk about training. I've incorporated bodyweight exercises with a high volume because, as we know, the body reacts to mechanical stress, which the kettlebell offers as well. But at the end of the day, it's just solid resistance training that does the trick. And when I started incorporating 20 push-ups and 20 squats as a warm-up for 5 sets inspired by Joe Rogan, I have seen some drastic changes. So afterwards, it was 10 push-ups, 10 bodyweight squats, and 10 pull-ups, and finally it has morphed into 10 push-ups, 10 bodyweight squats, 10 pull-ups, and 10 dips for 5 sets. Now I'm gonna amp up the volume just a little bit, coming down in the season of winter. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna opt in for 12 reps, 15 reps, and then 20 reps, and I'm probably gonna lower the sets. This is always part 1 of the workout unless it's Monday. So Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, the first part of the workout is always these powerful bodyweight exercises. And I believe that they have created a massive change in my physique as well. Another trick that I'm using during these sets, and that's something that I've learned from kettlebell training, is reduce the rest that I need during my workout. Rest as briefly as possible. And if you combine less rest with a good engine that the kettlebell has given me, this means you're more efficient, you're more effective, you can do more work in a shorter time because you don't have to rest as much. And I think that's another key that has given me some solid gains over the last couple of months. Now, step number 3 is something that I just started incorporating based on my conversation with Levi, and that is heavy bells. As many of you know, I've had a great conversation with Levi Marquardt from Harder to Kill Training. He spawned a lot of the content lately on the YouTube channel, which many of you enjoyed. And he essentially said that 2 bells overhead has changed his physique. And look at the guy. The guy is a walking monster. And when it comes to load and weights, especially with the kettlebell, I used to believe, which at the end of the day still holds true, is that if you use ballistic exercises where you don't have the yielding phase of the lift, that you don't really pack on that much muscle because you use a lot of momentum. And while that is true, at the end of the day, the load still indicates how much of a physical adaptation is going to happen with your body. This means if you clean, jerk, and long cycle and squat heavy loads that really force your body to adapt, then it doesn't matter if there's a momentum or a ballistic component in the exercise, it still forces your body to adapt. And while that makes sense, I had to realize this somehow because I was kind of like in that small little bubble of kettlebell training where I still believe that the kettlebell, from its inception and the way it's used, it's one of the best strength endurance tools. But as soon as you use doubles and you use fairly heavy weights, then you can change that direction and adaptation of your physique most definitely. Now, what I'm focusing on now is heavier weights with lower reps. And let's just think about the long cycle. If you can do double 16s for 3 minutes of long cycle, it becomes a strength endurance or an endurance type of exercise if you have good technique. But now grab double 24s. This is going to challenge your body to an extent where your body will adapt differently. Plus, you won't be able to do 3 minutes, and then the outcome is different. Same goes if you are used to double 32s. How about you grab double 36, 40s, and 44s? This is going to change the way your body reacts to this type of stimulus.
And just in case if you're wondering what kind of kettlebell I'm using, it's the Pro Kettlebell by my friend Nikolai Puchlov, proudly made in the USA. There's 5 things that I love about the Pro Kettlebell. Number 1, the contoured arm pockets that fit well on the clean as well as with the snatch. This means beginners will feel right at home and professionals can get rid of their calluses on their forearms. The second thing I love is the high quality texture finish on the handle, which doesn't turn your hands into hamburger meat when you do lots of swings and ballistics in general. And this also means that you don't have to use a lot of chalk. Number 3 is the ergonomics. The Pro Kettlebell is a little bit smaller than the standard competition kettlebells, which means the weight sits closer to your center of mass. You feel it in the rack position, and you get that immediate superflow feeling when you engage into the ballistics. Number 4 is the wide hollow core base, which makes it a safe option if you do kettlebell exercises on the floor, such as a handle push-up. Number 5 is the second grip because of the wide hollow core base, which lets you do curls and presses and exercises that you can't do with other kettlebells. There are even more benefits, such as a safe option of a magnetic weight chip that you can add inside the hollow core base of your kettlebell and make it heavier. Check the link in the description to get your Pro Kettlebell right now. And don't forget to use our code Lebe to get 10% off your next purchase.
And step number 4 was I was able to reduce my level of stress. The stress that I was exposed to that was really taking a beating on my body probably and on my mental health was the stress of running a business. See, I was running my business in the feast or famine mode. Some months were awesome and other months were pretty bad. And this is what I would maybe say 80 or 90% of small businesses operated. So I was able to change that perspective, change some very crucial and important aspects of my business, which now have taken lots of stress off of my shoulders, which means I sleep better, I can recuperate better. So this most definitely goes hand in hand with being able to build a physique and gain more muscle. Step number 5, while being more on the philosophical side doesn't mean that it's less valuable, is I do not put any limits on my body. Now, I do understand that I won't be able to compete or run as fast like a 20-year-old. I don't even have to do this, so I don't really care. I consider myself the fittest I've ever been in my life. Now, I do understand that we age. I don't always have to use heavier loads because I know that my body unfortunately deteriorates over time. So while the load may stay the same, my body still deteriorates, so it might still be enough of a stimulus. That's a way of thinking that I have never heard anybody say. It's always more numbers, heavier weights, this and that. But think about, we are breaking down. So maybe sometimes that same weight that you've been using as you age is still giving your body a great stimulus. That being said, I do not put any limits on my body on what it can perform. I just let it perform. And people who are able to achieve great things in life, these are the ones who don't put blinders on or who don't limit themselves and don't listen to what everybody else is thinking how their life should be or what it's supposed to be after 40. I have read so many folks in the comments who are putting limits on themselves, and while this may sound a little cheesy in today's day and age that we live in, it's still the truth. If you think that you're not able to perform or run a business or be successful or have a great marriage or whatever it is, if you think this is not possible, guess what? It won't be possible for you. Because number 1 on the list of things that have to change should always be you. So at least that's how I see it. And because I don't limit myself, I think my body just has free reign on how to adapt however it wants. And the only thing that I want to make sure is that it adapts on a positive side and that I'm able to build something. And for example, this channel that I've built, nobody told me that this was possible. Matter of fact, many people told me this is impossible. This is not going to work. Not another influencer. The kettlebell space doesn't work. Fitness doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. Just from a perspective from the business side of things, many people look at me now and say, wow, oh, you actually made it. Well, the reason why I was able to come this far, because I didn't put limits on myself. And this is the same thing with my body. While at the same time, and that's an important caveat, I still recognize and realize that I'm not choosing goals that are unattainable. For example, I'll never look like Ronnie Coleman, which I don't want to, but this would be a goal that is impossible. If I would walk around and say, okay, I'm gonna look like this, most definitely, when I know if you're not enhanced, you're never gonna look like this. So always make sure you are friends with reality, but do not put any brakes on your body's capability to produce results. So here's the next thing that you have to do. Clean and press that like and subscribe button. Share with a friend who's also interested in kettlebells. And if you made it this far, download my free ebook in the first link in the description called the Kettlebell Code. If you're over 40, 50, or 60, you don't have a lot of time, but you still want to take care of your fitness, this is where the kettlebell comes in. And I'm going to help you get started with the kettlebell 100% free. You'll find the ebook in the first link in the description. Enjoy.